My name is Rachel Bauer, if we've never met before, and I am the PI of AT Central, and I am here to help support the wonderful work of Ellen Haas and Courtney Larson today as they talk about the PI conference, a topic near and dear to all of our hearts, and in particular the call for sessions, which is always very exciting. I will let them introduce themselves for those of you who have not met them. These are very informal calls. They're sort of done in the same style that we do our monthly office hours at AT Central. So, pop questions into chat, raise your hand, in particular with a small group like this. It's awesome because we can really get into depth on things. If you guys have questions about things, is there anybody who's never been to the PI conference? Anybody? There's one. Okay, awesome. So Ellen's going to go over lots of good information, but particularly dig into that call for sessions. And I don't know, Ellen and Courtney, I think we just go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
Great.
Rachel. I'm Ellen Haas. I'm the Associate Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs with the American Association of Community Colleges. I am also a principal investigator of an ATE award, one of the primary activities of which is to host the ATE conference. I'm going to ask Courtney to introduce herself, and she is in chat. So any questions, please feel free to input at any time. I have just a few slides I'm going to run through, and then we'll turn it off and we can open it up for, as Rachel said, discussion at that point as well. So Courtney?
Hi everyone, I'm Courtney Larson, a program manager for ATE at the American Association of Community Colleges, and I've worked with Ellen on this project for 5 years now. So happy to be with you and ask any questions, please.
God, I can't believe it's been 5 years, Courtney. That is freaking me out a little bit. Um, also, I just want to let everybody know, just so that you're aware, this is being recorded. So just so that you're aware, we are recording this so that anyone who wasn't able to join us today can see it afterwards.
Yes, thank you. So today, just as you know, as Rachel mentioned, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the conference. The primary focus of today's info session is really to dig into the call for sessions, and then I do want to mention student applications. Both the call for sessions deadline and the student applications deadline, those are the kind of first up on the roster of the planning for the ATE conference. So that's why we roll out these information sessions the way we do. So I know we have one new person coming to the conference this year, but hopefully you are all aware this is the National Advanced Technological Education Principal Investigators Conference. This has been put on by the American Association for Community Colleges in partnership with National Science Foundation for, I believe this is year 32 we're going on. So it's been, I haven't been here for all 32 years, but I've been here for a good number of them. We're thrilled to be convening the community in October. We anticipate about 850 attendees. The conference is primarily attended by those principal investigators that are leading NSF ATE work, their co-PIs, their team members, their project partners, spanning business industry, K-12, four-year institutions, and community partners. So this is a conference that is kind of for you and by you. So that's the big focus of the call for sessions is the content that you bring and share with fellow attendees. The conference dates October 29 through 31. We are at the Omni Shoreham Hotel in Washington, D.C. I do wish to put out a bit of a caveat. We don't normally hold a conference over Halloween. That was not our intention, but these dates were the results of a cancellation from a COVID era cancellation and to avoid a large penalty. So we realize it may not be ideal for some. To help mitigate some of the challenges of potentially traveling over Halloween, particularly those that have families that maybe celebrate. We are starting the conference early, so the conference plenary session the conference will open on Wednesday at noon, and it will close at 10 a.m. on the Friday with our closing session. And then we have opportunities for those that want to host meetings following can do so. And I'll talk about all that relative to the call for sessions, but I just wanted to make you aware. It's been in our correspondence and it's on the website as to the schedule adjustment for this year in terms of starting a little earlier, but ending a little earlier as well. Hopefully you've all seen or been to the conference website. We, very recently, just launched registration and housing. So this is available. You can go in and register and do your housing through the website. So we're with a different vendor this year, some slight difference in processes, but happy. Well, we're not focusing on registration or housing. If you've got those questions, feel free to put them into chat. Courtney's a guru on all of that, and we'd be happy to assist you. But just to make you aware, this is where the information I'm covering today is. This is where we will be continually updating information as we get it throughout the event, be posting keynote speakers and program information as we have it moving into the fall. So with that, I did want to focus on the call for sessions. This is very important. Again, as I said, the conference is for you, by you, but we can't successfully run it if we don't get session submissions from the ATE community. So we do invite all projects and centers, if you would like to submit a session to be on the conference program, to please do so by August 8th. And I do want to mention, that this is different from ATE Connects. Those are the kind of the networking and information sharing sessions we do in the exhibit hall that are really focused on sharing information just about your project. That is a separate process, and we have a whole information session dedicated to that in September. Happy to address questions on that now, but just so you know, we do take a much deeper dive into that piece of the conference in September, closer to that deadline. But for right now, I am focusing on the call for session. So this is if you wanted to hold a spotlight panel session or do a demo or propose a discussion session, which we call a synergy session, this would be the place to do that, to be placed on the conference agenda. So we have our call for sessions. It's on the website. You can also download the PDF, but we're really looking for sessions that share those case studies, those experiences, those lessons learned with the ATE community. They focus on learning experiences and promising strategies that are common across disciplines and different project areas. Participants are always looking for takeaways or how they can implement the good work that people are doing. And we certainly look for demonstration of collaboration among ATE projects and centers. And particularly if you're going into those spotlight sessions, you might want to bring your partners on a panel with you. But I did just want to kind of dive into what each of those sessions looks like, and then happy to answer questions on any of them. As I mentioned, the conference starts at noon with the plenary sessions. Right before that, we have a few pre-conference workshops, and then we are also running what we call learning labs. And these are 75-minute sessions that are designed to be kind of, interactive training sessions, kind of in a classroom style setting, where presenters would walk participants through a particular activity or exercise using tools and solutions. You can invite people to bring their laptops if you've got portable equipment that you want to bring in. So this is kind of more of a hands-on type of session. And we run these the morning prior to the conference opening. So we would ask you, a place if you want attendees to walk through a new idea with you and carry that learning into practice. That's we would propose a learning lab. Spotlight session. These are 45-minute sessions that are really more your traditional panel, if you will. So if you are focused on wanting to present with fellow panelists on something that really is relevant to an area of STEM technician education and can help, spotlight different areas. I do want to say that these should not be used again for just a report out of what you're doing. That's the AT Connects. But if it's a piece of what you're doing relative to another project, relative to highlighting a best practice in depth that someone can take away, that would be a good avenue for a spotlight session. A synergy session, so the counterpart to a spotlight, these are focused on discussion. So if you want to engage a kind of a birds of a feather type discussion, pull people together to talk about practices, lessons learned, potential collaborations, you would propose a synergy session. And again, these are 45-minute, more discussion-based, not presentation-based sessions. Innovation demos. These are 30 minutes, typically one presenter, a maximum of two. where they've got 30 minutes and they really walk you through a step-by-step explanation of a strategy or a tool or a technology. So those that really want to share a piece of what they're doing from the tech side or the strategy side, this is where you'd walk them through that tool, share strengths and weaknesses, and share key takeaways. So that's a more of a 30-minute solo endeavor of sharing a piece of technology or a strategy. And then even a shorter bite-size type of programming. We introduced these last year, ATE Connects Countdowns. So these do take place in the exhibit hall at the same time as our ATE Connect sessions. And these are 10-minute presentations with 5 slides where you are literally counting down or counting up the top 5, the top 10 best practices, technology trends, or lessons learned in an area. Last year, these were in the corner of the hall, and we had these disco headsets on so we could hear presenters. We've got really great feedback on these. But examples of this, we've had like top 3 emerging technology trends and how they impact your students, or top 10 ways to use AI in the classroom is some types of things. So if you've got something you want to share in that kind of bite-sized format, it's a good way to kind of get your feet wet into presentations. If you want to propose this 10-minute format, you would submit to do an ATE Connects countdown. And then, as I did reference, the conference ends at 10 a.m. So we'll have breakfast. We'll have a closing keynote speaker, which we hope to announce in the next couple of weeks. And then the conference, as I said, ends at 10. We have space available until noon that we are making available to any groups that want to convene special interest groups or advisory boards, hold meetings in relation to your STEM, technician education, or ATE grants. So that is really putting in just a meeting request form. We're taking those kind of on a first come, first served basis. So you would have from 10:15 to noon to convene a meeting on the back end of the conference if you'd like to do so. So information on that is in the call for sessions as well. To submit, it's just going to our website. We have the list of what is needed. You'd need to put in your grant number, select the track. You would need to submit by the conference session type. So if you want to do a learning lab, you'd click the link for learning lab. If you want to do a synergy, these discussion-based sessions, you would select that and submit. If you're unsure where to submit your idea, you're welcome to talk to us about it, or pick one. If it doesn't fit in that spot, we'll contact you and say, hey, this is really more of a spotlight. Could we move it over here for consideration? So we're happy to do that as well. And we do ask that you submit, if you are like submitting a panel, for example, that you put in all the presenters at the time of submission. We realize something may change between now and October, and we would give you the opportunity to change and update your speakers. But we have a small committee of people that research and review these. And in order to accept it on the conference program, it really helps us to know who is presenting and who is at the table. And also when it comes time for scheduling, in the event we may have a presenter that is on more than one session, so we don't double book them. So we really do ask you to submit that information when you submit in August. If your session is accepted on the conference program, we're going to say, hey, take a look at all your speakers and make sure they're updated by X date. And then that will go in the program. Obviously, if something changes up until then, beginning, we're aware of that. Please let us know. We can update it in the app at that point, but it may not make it to the physical program. But just that there are some people who say, well, why do I have to have all this in now? Because it really helps us in terms of being able to schedule the session, because we need to know who all is going to be there and to assess its merit. Is it just a single presenter, or do you have a well-rounded panel? So we do ask that you get that in, knowing that it can change if it has to. I don't know, are there any questions on the call for sessions or general pieces right now? Because I realize I just downloaded a lot of information on a single slide here.
Yeah, I might have a question, Ellen.
Yes.
So I was talking to Dr. Geer, and we thought that probably the synergy session is going to be the best for us, just because at this conference, we're also going to have some academic partners that we would like to involve in a discussion, maybe a little bit about our internship program, and also about the faculty and workshops that we host here at New York Creates in Albany as well. Regarding this, I was looking to see if there are details about a format, the moment we submit everything. So I didn't find details regarding a format that we need to use when we're going to submit this session proposals. So can you give me more information about this?
You mean in terms of what we're asking you to submit?
Yeah, for example, exactly. So
Yes.
whether to just have a template written in Word or in PowerPoint when we submit it, what would be your advice?
It is actually listed on the website. So it'll say required information for all session proposals. So it'll say that we need your project or center number. You're going to need to select a track. We'll need the session organizer, any presenters or facilitators, title, abstract limited to 600 characters. We'll ask you to provide 2 to 3 learning objectives or discussion questions that the session will address. We'll ask you to do an outline for the session and then describe your target audience. One thing that's not listed on that is there'll also be something that says a keyword, like and we'll put down a drop-down list and you can select up to 2. So that just helps us sort sessions. But that is what the form looks like. You're also welcome to go in and, you can go back in and out anytime, but those are the fields that would be required to submit.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Carl has his
Oh,
hand
okay.
up too.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ellen, I'm sorry, everything just moved. Was it Ellen that was speaking?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Everything just went Zoom on my Zoom. So I think you kind of answered my question, but you mentioned, we submit this and let's say you look at it and you think, well, this is maybe a more appropriate for Spotlight versus Synergy or whatever. Because when I'm looking at this, I think what I want to present is appropriate for mostly for Spotlight, but
Mhm.
could also be Synergy. So that's and I'd really, I know you guys have to pick based on what works for the conference, but are we upping our chances of getting a shot at this by being in one or the other, or would you, like, let's say you filled up Spotlight, but you got room in Synergy, would you write to us and say, look, could you just adjust this a little bit? And then we think yours would be appropriate for this, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's absolutely what happens. There are the same number of spots for Spotlight session as there are for Synergy. So we say put in wherever it makes sense. If it's a session that this should be on the agenda, but as you said, I've got Synergy spots over here. We would go to you and say, hey, could you maybe, reconceptualize this a little bit and we'll put it on the agenda. So we do a little bit of that finagling, and sometimes we'll see 2 very similar proposals and we'll say, is there any chance you guys can work together? And in some cases, we'll say you have a Spotlight and a Synergy, and we'll ask you to figure that out. But we definitely will, if the content should be on the agenda, I'm less concerned with what format it comes in, except that it gets in, and we'll figure out how best to get it on, if that makes sense.
Thank you. And Ellen, could I just follow up?
Sure.
This is a little separate, but so I'll be in Minneapolis next week at the High Tech Conference, and I'm sure there's quite a few of the ATE community that'll be there. But anyways, I'm going to be presenting there, and my plan is to see how this goes and how it's responded to, and then I've got my next steps in my grant that'll be undertaken this fall. And then, so basically I'm kind of wanting to do the same thing, but then with updates. That's totally fine, isn't it? I mean, I don't have to start from, I don't want to start from scratch because I know what I want to say at both places.
Sure. And no, you don't have to start from scratch. We do see some overlap between, but High Tech being an open conference and being open to beyond the community, and then, ATE being, they're all grantees. We've definitely seen some sessions that are offered at High Tech that are offered at ATE, or modified slightly or updated, as you said, for ATE. So that's fine. I'm not scanning the I'll also be at High Tech, as will Courtney. Happy to go in and watch your session as well, if that's helpful. But we're not scanning the 2 agendas to say, oh, they did this at High Tech, they can't do it at ATE. If it's relevant for the ATE community, and knowing, again, that High Tech, you may have a very different audience than you would at the PI community.
Perfect. Thank you.
It looks like Ginger has her hand up too.
Yes, I was just going to ask if are we allowed to submit more than one proposal?
Yes, you are. We prefer, I had limited that in the past, but I would say yes, you are, because sometimes I would say don't do 4 or 5, but if you've got 2 or 3 that you want, they may not all get on. But we've had projects submit like 2 very different ones, and then we're also looking to see, do I have a lot on student recruitment? Oh, but we have something over here on curriculum development. So it may be one of those just fits with the overall content. So if you got 2 strong ones, go ahead. And then we've had, doesn't happen very often, but I think Rachel's aware, we've had 1 or 2 times where we've had somebody who submitted 2 and we're like, wow, both of those are wonderful. And then we go back to the college and say, we've only got space for 1. Which one would you like to do? So yes, you can submit more than 1, but I would say don't go crazy, because then it gets hard on this end. But if you've got 2 to 3, feel free to put them in. Do we have any other questions? I can't see the screen as well as you, Rachel.
I don't see anything in chat. Yeah, there's nothing in chat. So you're fine to.
Okay, let me just move forward on students, and then we can see if there's any questions in general. I did want to mention, because this is a piece that could weave into the call for sessions. Certainly, if you've got students that you want to bring to the conference, you're welcome to encourage them. You're welcome to include them as presenters in your sessions. We look very favorably upon students being involved in sessions if it makes sense to do so. But we do open up a student application process to all grants. If they can nominate up to 2 students to attend the event. The students would go to our website and fill out an application. We select typically 60 students a year to attend. And if we end up with a few more, we make space for a few more. We really don't like to turn students away if we can get them in. As a part of being accepted into the conference, AACC covers their registration fee. We provide them with 3 nights complimentary lodging. We would just ask that the project help with their travel to the event. So we cover registration and lodging as part of the conference, and they don't take up a space on your grant. So if you are a project team and you're bringing 2 comp and you're bringing 3 additional people and you want to bring students, they don't count to your total allotment. They're separate and apart from that. So they could be an added 2 people to your team that's attending. And the students that attend get a lot out of it. They are asked to do a student poster session and reception, and that'll be the opening late afternoon this year. It's nice. We'll have nights, since we're starting earlier on Wednesday. We are going to end with the student poster session and reception from 4 to 5:30 on Wednesday. They also have student programming. They have a student industry networking session. We organize a tour of Air and Space for them. They're honored at a student recognition breakfast by NSF and presented with certificates on Friday morning. We invite their PIs to attend that as well. So it's a nice experience for the students, and so we would encourage those that have students that they'd like to nominate to attend to please fill out the applications by September 11th. And Courtney manages the students for us, so any questions on that, feel free to reach out to her directly or either one of us, and we're happy to address the student application piece. Just to, before we turn to overall questions, as I mentioned, I have an information session on September 4th, focused all about ATE Connects. That information is due September 19th. That's very different from the call for sessions because you're required to participate in that if you have an active award to share information specifically about your program. Those are grouped by discipline and they're in the exhibit hall. They're information and networking sharing sessions. And then we have an overall conference orientation webinar on October 15th. By that time, we'll have the agenda posted, and we will walk. It's primarily for new attendees, but anyone is welcome. We'll walk you through the event, how to make the most out of your time there, how to navigate it, and to be aware of all the session offerings. So those are 2 things forthcoming. These were our students from last year's conference, but basically just wanted to see if there were any questions, and I'll stop showing my screen there so we can see one another. So again, we're small, we're anything at all. So Rachel, I don't know if anything's come in chat or if anybody's got questions about call for sessions, students, or other pieces of the conference, knowing we've got other things that'll dive deeper, but we've got time if people have anything that's top of mind.
I don't know, Carl, did you have your hand raised, but I think it may be from the original. Or maybe
No,
it's-
it isn't.
oh,
I
no.
put it down. Thank you. Ellen, I did email you and you did respond to me on this. I just wanted a little bit more clarification. So I had
Okay.
asked you if, 'cause last year I brought an alumni from my certificate and he presented, it went really, really well. But he's this individual is also a co-PI on my current grant.
Mhm.
And and he's been really valuable. And if everything goes according to plan this fall, he's going to really play a big part in some of the things that I'm doing this fall. So I really want him to come. Would it be, and we're trying to bring quite a few people out this year if we can. So can he come could he apply as a student alumni, but also be like, he is a co-PI and he would be a big part of my presentation, or would I just need to figure out a way to get him either comped or as one of the extras?
Yeah, and it's an unusual situation. We don't always have recent alum that are now co-PIs and staff. We can work with you on that, particularly if he's going to come and be a part of a presentation and does qualify to attend under the student application process. We don't say they can't be a co-PI. He is a recent alum. So technically, when we say students, they can also be recent alum of your program. I guess I would say if he's willing to do the poster session and participate, if it makes sense for him to participate in the student pieces, then we would have him come in through that process. If it doesn't, talk to us and we'll figure out how to finagle that, since, you know, he's going to be a co-presenter and would be a part of your team.
Okay, so we'll try the student application first.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
It looks like Don has a
Don?
question.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, so we're new to this. This is first, matter of fact, the first grant that I ever helped write. So
Yay.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
really kind of excited, a little nervous. I guess my question is, this being brand new, right? And I was reading over your email about presenting and all that. So since this is a brand new, you know, what do you call it, brand new program, it'll be a brand new program to the college, and it'll be brand new to the grant writing. So, you know, I guess we're required to present, I'm assuming.
No, you are not at all. So the call for sessions, you're not required to put in one for those. You know, again, if you're brand new, you wouldn't technically have much to share at this point. And then ATE Connects, which is the piece where we do ask everyone to share information about their programs. If you are brand new this year, you do not have to participate in that session. You have the option of preparing like a one-pager, because there are people looking for you. There are centers looking to engage with all the new projects. So if you prepare that, there's a place we call New to ATE Grantee Corner, where you can put that information. But yes, to help alleviate any nervousness or anxiety, you are not required to present. We would encourage you to soak it all in.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you're going to want to go to that when you do
Thank you.
sign up, you're going to want to sign up for the Getting Started workshop, which is, you know, really, really key for new folks, because it goes through everything on Wednesday and kind of helps you get oriented. But yeah, you're going to have so much to soak up. Believe me, there's a lot going on. So you don't want to have to present. You just want to come, try to get around, meet all kinds of people. You'll have a great time. And it's a very friendly, like, just to assure you, it is a super friendly, fun group. It's, you'll have a great time. It's a really good conference.
And so I'm required to attend, and then my co-PIs, I was reading it, I want them to attend because they're more of the subject matter experts than I am. So, so I mean, how does that work? I understand that the cost is, I guess, kind of, I was kind of reading, but I'm not sure. So, cost, I don't pay for myself, but we'll have to pay for the co-PIs.
You
Is that
get
correct?
two, right, Ellen?
Yes, so each project you have 2 complimentary registrations. So you'd use your grant code that would cover the cost of registration, and it also allots 3 hotel nights So, with the expectation you'd stay Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so you can partake of the full conference for 2 participants. So if you can bring up to 3 additional people. And if you want to do that, they would be, it's outside of the first 2, they're responsible, whether, your grant can fund it or institutional funds, however, if you've budgeted for that in your proposal or your award. But it's a $500 registration fee outside of the first 2, and then you're responsible for your hotel
For the
room.
hotel.
But yes, each project center has two complimentary registrations. And 3, which
Okay.
comes with 3 nights hotel for each of those 2 individuals.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
And if you've got any questions, feel free. I mean, we're happy to talk to you offline as well. We realize first time you've done this, there's a lot of pieces to this conference and it can be a little overwhelming. So we're happy to talk to you about, the registration or the housing pieces or any of that as well. And we
Okay.
do go
All
over
right, I
that a
appreciate it.
little bit more in September when we get closer to that deadline. But again, feel free to reach out with any questions.
Okay, I will.
And Drada has her hand up, and then Shelley has a question in chat, which we can get to right after that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for me, this is gonna be my first conference of this type. So I do have a couple more questions, but if I have, after we finish this webinar, if maybe I have other questions in mind, I'll just email you at the address that you have provided in the chat box. Would
Thanks,
that be
Courtney.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free. Yes.
All right. So, as I said, we're thinking about a synergy session, and we're thinking about bringing a couple students who actually have participated in both the internship and one of the workshops that we have organized so far. And just to reiterate, you at one point, you said that you would be covering the lodging and these expenses for students, or since we're bringing them, that would come out of our grant.
Yeah, let me clarify. Thank you. First of all, I'm very excited you want to bring students. You would direct them to apply through the student application process. So you just hit the student tab on the website and there's a form they would click. They would fill that out. They would list the nominating PI. As part of acceptance to the conference, we communicate with the students separately. So they actually have their own registration form because it's difficult to integrate them into the full platform. So they would register through us. They would make their hotel reservations through us. They're the only ones we do that for. And we would cover their hotel reservation for 3 nights and their conference registration. The institution would be responsible for getting them there and back or covering any other travel related costs outside of the hotel for 3 night and the conference registration.
So yeah, transportation and okay.
Yeah, and then the conference, in terms of meals, we provide lunch and a light reception on Wednesday. On Thursday, it's breakfast, lunch, and another, we have every snacks throughout the day and a reception Thursday evening. Friday morning, it's breakfast. If you're part of the Getting Started workshop, if you're brand new, you get breakfast as part of that workshop. Everyone else, those sessions start a little later, but we will have coffee. Everything else starts at 9:30. But the meals that are listed are, that's included in the conference registration.
All right, thank you very much. And then I know you mentioned that some of the students in the past did like a poster presentation. Would that be the case of the students we would be bringing?
Yes, if they're coming through the student application process, there's an expectation that, they're welcome to be on any session proposal you put in, but there's an expectation separate and apart from that, they would participate in a poster session of the student and recent alumni. And that takes place we're moving it this year. It'll be in the Regency Ballroom, the big ballroom where we have our big plenary sessions. And they have a session that's just the student poster sessions that we'll do a reception around from 4 to 5:30. So they would be expected to participate in that piece of the conference.
Ellen,
as
can I
well
ask a
as
question about that, because for some reason I don't remember this. Can the students present as a team to do a poster, or does each student have to do a poster? I just can't remember.
They can, if the 2 students are working on the same project, they can do one poster and both stand together. Or they can choose to do their own. So in the communication we send to the students, we give them that choice. We also give them templates. So they get a ton of information from us, once they've submitted their application, and we give them all that information. But yes, if there are 2 students and they would rather jointly present a poster, they can. And by present, that means, the poster is on the board and they're standing by their board talking to people throughout this reception. And we give them a whole poster session guide on how to prepare for that.
Thank you. And then speaking of the poster session, we're also working at one because we have one on July 29th. So we're
Oh,
very
wow,
excited
okay.
about this question. Is there anyone that would print their template?
The posters will need to be printed before they come to the conference. So that will be included in the information that we send. We do not have any printing capabilities
Okay.
on site. So we suggest that people print their own posters ahead of time, or there are some, Kinko's, there are some that will print because it's a standard size, but we do not have printing capabilities on site. So that's
Alright.
something we would ask you to be responsible, or the students to be responsible for bringing.
All right, perfect. I knew this was a good experience. When you go to the poster session, they're already doing that. So
Awesome.
we actually have a poster webinar on tomorrow. That's
Oh,
gonna be
great.
super helpful.
Very nice.
All right. And then so it's gonna be so is there like a limit of, I'm not talking about students, of people that we can bring? For example, I was speaking to Dr. Gear, and it's gonna be me and my coworker, which I can say we're a team because I'm doing internships and she does workshops and faculty. So would that be okay if it's two of us? Can we bring another one? What would you say?
Oh, you mean in terms of a project team on the grant?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I'm not sure if you're classified as a center or a project, I'd have to look, but a project, you can bring up to 5 people to attend. So 2 people are complimentary and the other 3 would incur that $500 fee. If you're classified as a center, it's 8, right, Courtney? So 2 comp and 6 paid.
So we could bring up to 5 people.
You can bring up to 5 people, yes.
And then
And not
outside,
include, students would be over and above that, yeah.
right. And then you mentioned earlier that outside of the first 2, the 3 that are extra, right? They would be responsible of paying their like registration fee. And
correct.
what about in our case? Let's say it's me and my coworker Capri. So we will provide the grant number, of course. Would that come out of the grant, the registration?
All of it would come out of the grant.
Okay. So
I mean, but all of your travel and stuff, I mean, the AACC, the Ellen's grant covers for 2 people, hotel for 3 nights and registration.
Yeah.
You still have to pay the travel out of your grant. For anybody else coming, all of that should be reimbursed to them if they pay up at front or whatever. It should be paid by the grant.
okay, so it covered, okay, everything, including the registration fee. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Was that right, Ellen? Did I get that?
No, you are correct. We don't cover any travel. So it is just the
Oh,
registration.
no,
fee
my
and
question
agreement
was
itself,
just
yeah.
about the registration fee. I was wondering,
Yeah,
because-
you enter your grant code on the attendee form, and then you
Right.
enter it again on the payment page, and it'll zero out the $500
For those 2,
for those 2. And then if a third person tries to use it, it'll say, sorry, you've used your code. And sometimes this happens in a grant where you've got multiple people coming and somebody, 2 people register before the 2 people who were supposed to get the comps. And if that happens, you call us and we can say, hey, or go to our call center and they can look up and say, these 2 people have the comps. And if we need to move that around, because some people are very particular about these 2 people have to have the comps and these people need to be paid, we can work that around on the back end.
All right, sounds good. That's all from my end for now. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Anything else, please, email us. Happy to address.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we have a question from Shelley in chat, which is, we have a research piece in our grant. Would presenting our research results make for a potential session?
I guess it would be what more, are we pulling in the partners of the research? We've definitely had targeted research present, but they've done it by bringing in various people to share information about it, because certainly you have ATE Connects where you share information on that project. But if it's how you're applying the research, so if it takes it a step beyond, you're just reporting out on what you did, but how it's being applied or how certain partners are using it, if that makes sense. So it's just a little broader than detailing the research itself.
And I would say, particularly if you have lessons that are going to be useful to the whole AT
Yes.
community,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you're in great shape, because particularly if you've done a bunch of research on, some new way that people are thinking about whatever professional development. And there's sort of tips that have come out of that or actionable items. Then I
Yeah.
think for sure, particularly in ATE, that's something people get very excited about it. Like, here's some change we could be making based on this good data from these guys.
Yeah, thank you. So it's not just saying we did research on X, Y, and Z. It's the takeaways or how it can be implemented or how it translates to being usable or actionable for the community, as Rachel indicated.
Ginger, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I was just wanting a little more clarification on the synergy sessions. Would we all be around a table or would we be in a room presenting maybe an intro to the topic and then start discussion, or how does that look?
Very, very good question. The rooms are set for, 30 to 50 to 60 people. We try to keep the synergy sessions in smaller rooms, but you still are provided an AV set. You'll have a data projector and screen, because a lot of people in setting up a synergy session will do an intro, we'll present a little piece, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So those rooms do tend to be set in round tables, but you won't all be around one big round table. But they are set, so a lot of times people will present something and then they'll have discussions at the table level and then they'll report out to the full room. But it's just that the anticipation of those is that you're really looking more to have a discussion with the participants than to present to them.
Okay, and then a follow-up to that, the spotlight sessions, then you really are looking for panels, not just one presenter or the
Correct.
two co-PIs of a project, like you said, but a panel to across projects, if possible.
Across projects, if possible. Certainly, we've seen some very large projects who will bring in an industry partner or a student. So it's a broader, but that is something where we're looking for 3, a maximum of 4. Sometimes you have a facilitator and then 3 panelists. You've only got 45 minutes. So sometimes people say, well, I want to bring 6 panelists. You just physically won't have time for that. But that really is more those traditional, somebody poses a question to the panel, or they might each have a few PowerPoint slides. We don't dictate how you want to structure that. But that really is more presentation dialogue among the presenters. You might leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end if you've got it, but a lot of the times you don't. So those things run pretty much presentation focused. And yes, with more than 1 or 2 presenters. If you've got a single presenter that really just wants to drill down on one small piece, be a tool or strategy, that might be that innovation demo spot.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Andrada, do you have a question? I'm sorry, your hand is raised. Okay, good. Just making sure, friend.
Sorry, no, you clarified everything so far.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Fabulous.
All right.
Oh, I do have one.
Perfect.
So just to reiterate, and I know that I've read that, so the submission proposals by August 8th, that's
Yes.
the last day, the deadline where we have to
Yes.
submit. All right, perfect, thank you.
Sure. All right. Any other questions?
Well, I would just encourage you all to reach out to Ellen and Courtney and the team if you have questions sooner than later. And just, if you've never been before, it's a great conference. You're going to have a wonderful time. DC's great. And the location, the Omni Sherm, is a beautiful, beautiful old hotel. It's one of the hotels where the presidential balls happen, right?
The old inaugural balls.
Yeah, the inaugural balls. It's a very cool location, and it's just it's a great conference. So you will have a wonderful time.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel. To thank all of you. It's again, any questions, let us know. As I mentioned, if there are any of you going to high tech, Courtney and I are there. Feel free to stop us in the hall and say, hey, I've got a question about the PI conference. We're there for that reason too, to help network and build synergy between the events. So certainly approach us, or as Rachel indicated, email us with anything. You're going to be hearing a lot from us as we start to go into the fall with reminders about all these deadlines and asking for submissions and just making sure everyone's registered and all set. But thank you all for taking time today, and hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. And I hope to see for those of you that are not brand new, seeing your proposals come in on August 8th or before for the call for sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye.